right, so the operation here was to take the point and the slope and to come up with a line. And so we wrote down negative 4 equals 2 times 3 plus b. Okay, and so at this point that becomes 6, right?
Negative 3.
Oh, sorry, negative 3, you're right. So negative 6, and how do we get rid of the 6? We add it to both sides. And so we end up with what is an equation? Or a b. So 2 would be equal to b. At that point, you're done. This doesn't get much easier than this. So you have y equals 2x plus 2 as a solution. Linear equations. Okay? Any questions about that?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
oh, never mind, you added. Never mind.
Okay. Okay, let's go on to the next example. No other questions? We're good? Let's try this. Now, before we get started, it says graph 2x plus 3y equals 6. This one kind of jumps up 2 levels. In order to graph a line, what do I have to know? I need to get it into mx plus b form. So your first order of business is to rearrange that equation to be y equals. All right, so what would we do first in order to solve for y? So we're going to subtract the 2x from both sides. Minus 2x. So if we take that, that's going to end up with 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Give me another.
Divide by 3.
Divide by 3. I'm going to divide like this. Right? So I don't kind of forget about the other side, that both things get divided. So we end up with y equals what? Okay? What, Stephen? Lots of practice. At first it was awful, and it's still not that great. All right, let's graph. So if we graph this, when you graph a line, you have to graph the y-intercept first. So if you're taking notes, so the first part is the y-intercept. The second part is what?
The rise or remote.
Yeah, I'm just going to use the slope. And at that point, I'm done. I just connect the dots and I have my line. And so we're going to go up to 2. So 1, 2. I'm going to go put my point. Actually, let me do that. Put my point here. And we're going to go, it's a negative slope, so it should be leaning to the left. So I go up and left or down and right. I don't care which way you end up going with that, but you should go either way. We got to figure out what colors look good on this. Let's try yellow. Yeah. So we're going to go down 2 and over 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. We all have that? Rudy? You got it? You got the line drawn? All right. I heard. I taught Coach Laws last. Who had Coach Laws with me last year?
It's so boring.
Yeah, one time my brother was black belt.
Yeah, I'm joking about. I was about to kill him, but I love to go.
He's gone to the MLB with the side. I wasn't good.
Okay. Next topic. Parallel lines. What do you know about parallel lines? They have the same slope. So I've given you 2 things. Number 1, I've given you an equation of a line and a point. What did I tell you earlier? In order to write the equation of a line, I need 2 things. I need slope and I need a point. I've given you the point, but I haven't actually told you the slope yet. What I did tell you was the slope that you want is parallel to that line. Parallel means same slopes. So find the slope of that line and use it as m. No, this is your homework. Oh, you got at least another 10 minutes. Shh. This is correct. Negative 1/2 x plus 2. Subtracting 3x first. Be careful. Common mistakes. When you subtract things like this with algebra, you tend to combine things that are not alike. Sometimes people would say, oh, 12 minus 3x, that's going to be 9x. What was their mistake? Those are unlike. You can't combine them. It just stays like that. Negative 3x plus 12. Or you flip it around, that's fine too. Okay, as long as the 12 is positive and the 3x is negative. Then divide by 6, you got it here. What? Okay, right. So at this point, what you're looking at is parallel lines, and you have a point to go through that. So if we look at it this way, we need to know the slope of this thing, right? So the slope, and if we kind of work that around, you're going to end up with negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 1. Then we'll divide by negative 2. And really, the y-intercept and all that, it's not really important. What is very important here is what happens in front of x. What is that slope? So in this case, the slope for this line turns out to be 3/2. Parallel means same slope, right? So same slope. Alex. You can't go now. You have to go between classes. They'll send you back. If you go up there in the middle of class they'll send you back, and you and I both get in trouble. Yeah, because I know better.
When did they change that?
Last year, actually. Right. Yeah, and that's just here's a package. So same slope. Point. So now we're back to m equals 3/2, and my point is 1, negative 2. And now we're back to what we were doing before. I have a point and a slope, just like it was last time. And so the only thing I have to do is go to y equals mx plus b, plug this stuff in, find my b, put my slope in my equation, and I'm done. Try that. Which is? So it would be plug it in just like this. We took our x and our y. We plugged it in for y here, x there. We took our slope and plugged it into the slope equation, or the slope part. And now I'm just going to look for my b. So we're effectively going to subtract negative 2 minus 3/2, or negative 2 minus 1.5, which gives me what? What's b? Negative 7/2. Or negative 3.5. If you wrote either one of those, I don't care. Both accurate. Okay, so my final solution, my final answer would be y equals 3/2 x minus 7/2. Negative 3.5. Questions about that?
You had negative.
Which one? B? Okay, come here. What we did here, what I didn't have enough room to write it was, I said negative 2 minus 3/2. Or negative 2 minus 1.5 to give you negative 3.5. And that would end up.
That's what negative 2.
All right, here's another one to try. This time, perpendicular. If I give you the equation again, just like last time, what do you know about perpendicular slope?
Inverse.
2 parts. Negative or opposite, change the sign, and take that fraction, whatever it happens to be, and you find the reciprocal of it. So flip it over. You have a question?
Okay, I did.
You flip this. Flip it back over.
Oh.
We end up with y equals negative 4x plus 3. So that's the line that I'm starting with. And then the instructions say find a perpendicular line, or find a line that's perpendicular to the one that I wrote down, and it goes through the point that's written down. And so here's my slope for this. So the slope of my original is negative 4. The symbol for perpendicular is an upside down T, kind of like a right angle picture, right? So the perpendicular slope would be what? Change the sign. So it's negative, change it to positive, and flip it over. So if it's a whole number, remember it's always going to be over 1. So when you flip it over, it's going to end up being positive 1/4. And guess what? We're back to here's my slope. Here's my point. Same thing that we've been doing every single example. And when I've asked you to write a line or write an equation of a line, you can probably bet that at some point in time, you're going to get to this point. You're going to have to take the slope. You're going to have to take a point and use y equals mx plus b to kind of figure out what the equation is going to look like. And so it looked like this. Negative 3 equals positive 1/4 times 2 plus b. Does anybody not understand that step? I took the x and the y from here. I plugged it into x and y down there. And I took my perpendicular slope, not the one from the line, because that's not parallel. I want it to be perpendicular. So I took my new slope. I went down here and plugged it in. We kind of just worked this out. So that ends up being 1/2. So we're going to subtract 1/2 from both sides. So should it be negative 3.5 again? So b would be negative 3.5. And so my final solution would be y equals 1/4 x.
Plus 3.5.
No, minus 3.5. Minus 3.5. Any questions? Okay. This will be online if you need to check it out. If you need to rewatch it, it's about 13 minutes long.